Okay, I got this from a Jewish website. This is supposedly what Ezekiel saw. If you look at this thing, we know it's a hexagon, but it's also a hexagon is a cube. Okay, in the occult writings, it said that Saturn said, "I am the north, south, east, west, top, and bottom." That's a cube. Okay, the word news, I imagine, is probably derived from the north, northeast, west, and south. A matter of fact, I've heard Maxwell refer to those letters, but not telling you what it was in reference to. So I'm pretty sure that's what he's talking about. I'll give you some examples that show you the diagram. It's all here. The Star of David, the Seal of Saturn. All of these things are in here. But what is this thing? Obviously, this thing is embedded in the Earth, and I'm going to show you why that is, because of the way that they've written it out. So I'll just show you some designs here. You can clearly see that it's the circle and the square. Yeah, but let's just take a look at some of the other designs in there. Okay, if we look here at the bottom of this thing, the bottom of the cube, it says the abyss. Now that's interesting. So that means the abyss is within this cube, which if the abyss is within the cube, then that means that we're within the cube, because the abyss is the ocean, and it's also a place called Tartarus, which is in the ground. Now let's look at the other bit. Okay, so now we look at the top, which comes to a point, but it's really the top of the cube, and we see that it says firmament. Firmament, the firmament is land. And Genesis says it talks about the seas and the firmament, that God created the seas and the firmament. Okay, so we know that this is the top, this is where we're at, and the abyss is the bottom. So the top of the way they got it drawn, the top of the cube is where we're at. You know, and the abyss is the bottom of the cube. But if we look on either side, it says wing. Well, what is this wing? A wing here, and a wing here, and a wing here. So there's 4 wings. Let's see, in the book of Ezekiel, he said when he looked at it, there were 4 wings. Okay, well, let's just look at something that I ran across a long, long time ago. This is from the BBC. This is their logo from the 1950s. If we look, we see a wing on one side. We see a wing on the other side. We see a line going through the middle where it has 2 poles. In the middle, we definitely can see what would be considered the all-seeing eye, or Saturn. But there's 3 of these things that move in unison with each other, like a gyroscope. And I have the original version and the computerized, updated version. What's interesting is if you look on these wings right in the center, what do you see? You see what appears to be a pine cone, and that's what's in front of the Vatican. So I don't believe that the pine cone represents the pineal gland. I believe it represents this thing, which represents the cube. Okay, so you got a North Pole and a South Pole. So what's really being implied here by the New Yorker magazine? It's saying Saturn, center of the Earth. Are they really saying that what this representation of Saturn is in the center of the Earth? Is this what Saturn is, Satan, and they're saying it's in the center of the Earth, where all those crystals are at? Is that what that's really saying? Saturn, center of the Earth. Okay, Satan, center of the Earth. I don't know. That's what it sounds like to me. So we know it's a cube. Okay, so here we see Donald Duck climbs the bottom of the mighty money bin. Has been done for decades. Whatever. Time is money. Okay. Here we see a circle with an S in it and a line going through it. That's a sine wave. It represents time. So here we have a time cube. Okay, it's a time cube. All right. I'll show you the mechanical workings of that in a second. Funny how this Disney guy, but notice how it says go away, scram, hands off. Isn't it funny? The more that you seek the truth, the more resistance you get. Is that what's being done here? Okay, so we just saw in the same cartoon, I believe, we have a dollar sign in this picture. It's a pound sign from England, but really what that is it's two symbols in one. It's an E and an L. It's an E and an L, so it makes the word L, and it also has the L, and it's on a cube. So again, this thing L is the cube that's in the center of the Earth. It's got to be. I mean, it's the only thing that makes sense. Okay, I'm going to try and explain this to you. This is really a cube with a circle in it, showing a roundabout circular motion. Okay, it's interesting the way that they write this out in physics, because it really sounds biblical. Why am I going to hell? Let's look where the green is. It says, "Cause I sin." Okay, why are we in trouble? Look down, third line down. Our sin. Or above it, cause our sin. Sin is the physics abbreviation for a sine wave. A sine wave is represented by an S or a dollar sign. Now when you see this in motion, you'll understand. The middle line is linear time. You've got an x-axis right here, and then you've got a y-axis. If you connected all 4 points, you get a 3D cube. Okay? Now you'll see where the serpent comes in. As this circle spins, it creates a snake-like pattern. Watch. Okay, we can see that it's spinning. You see it, it's busted into 4 quarters. So we have 4 quarters. And we see, you can see the serpent. You can see how it's created. So there's your S. Remember, this is really a cube. You got an X, an XY. Your Z-axis is the one that comes at a 45-degree angle. So you've got time, you've got the X-axis and the Y-axis, and the circular motions of the seasons or life or whatever the hell that they're trying to explain here to you with physics. It's what that little symbol is down there in your Windows logo. Okay? Cause I sin. And notice how they write sin in red. And what is the devil? He's always depicted as red. And so we see this from Disney again. Time eventually tells Duckbird that it's the dawn of a new day. Now, this cartoon is the same one with the cube that hit the World Trade Center that I did long 3-4 years ago. Or 2 years ago, whatever. So here we see that it's saying time tells Duckburg that it is the dawn of a new day. That's interesting, isn't it? Dawn of a new day. We know what that is. That's the return. So that's the startup. We see the buildings in the back are purple. The ones in the yellow in the front. Dawn of a new day, huh? And it says, and it is time that is the ultimate. Well, Saturn said, "I am," right? Why did the cartoonist need to put this in? It's time for you to shut up and end this story. I'm not sure what that means or who he's even talking to. Look at how he spelled the end. You see how the E is the corner of the cube. You see it? It's everywhere.